Man, should I go get it? Let me go get it. We back, guys. We back. 1 second, I forgot. Let me get my mic. Get the mic. Probably should have set this up beforehand, but now one thing I don't understand. I want to set up the mic real quick, guys, and then we're gonna get right into it. Okay, let's see here. Boom, boom. Let's get this here. Click, click, and all right, we all set. We're all set. Hey, so what's going on? This is Mike Clark, Keys to Knowledge team. We're on the Keys to Knowledge podcast. Hey, listen, we're gonna talk all things this particular seminar, and then we're also going to talk a little bit about my Fort Bliss content that's going to be pushed out here pretty soon. I got some stuff I want to do in the background. Also, some things I'm going to be doing overall moving forward when it comes to my real estate business. I want to make sure I'm keeping everybody updated on what's happening, as much as I can, of course, right? So, really quick, who am I and why should you watch? Why should you watch? Well, once again, my name is Mike Clark. I am a local El Paso realtor located close in great proximity of Fort Bliss. I'm actually a soldier that recently got out not too long ago. Well, I wouldn't say not too long ago. It's been over 10 years, but I was stationed out in Germany, transitioned over here in PCS to Fort Bliss. And, that's one reason why I'm passionate about helping Fort Bliss soldiers, people PCS, because I understood that sponsorship program wasn't really great when I came over. Not saying all units are bad or Fort Bliss isn't doing a better job at it, but I just want to make sure I'm giving you an added tool and being a resource for people moving to Fort Bliss. That transition needs to be as smooth as possible because there's so many different things going on, so many different moving pieces. So I definitely understand that. So yes, so I PCS to Fort Bliss. I'm gonna end up getting out. Of course, I started my trucking career at that point. Started my own business there. Of course, that wasn't working out very well. Not because I wasn't good at the job or understanding business overall. Just it was time to get out. Fuel prices, maintenance, all those different things made running a trucking company extremely difficult. It's an understatement, but it made it very difficult. But mind you, the entire time I was on the truck, the entire time I was running that company, I was also always in love with real estate. I started my real estate career out here in El Paso, Texas. Now, I've had some properties from my city that I was raised in South Bend, Indiana. Of course, I've had those, but overall, establishing myself as a real estate investor happened here in El Paso. I bought well, let's not even say that. I started from a live-in flip, like living in the home while we're actually getting everything prepared to, get it at a particular market price. So that was my first taste of the real estate investment. So that really was scary, but it was something that I learned and really loved and was passionate about. Now, I'm going to tell you this next thing I've done, but I really don't believe I needed to do it, which was a 1031 exchange. I ended up selling that home. I purchased it at 115. I believe I ended up selling it for around 230. I had that home for about a year and a half, 2 years. And then from there, I did a 1031 exchange, which I don't think I needed to do at all. But nonetheless, I did it anyway. And I ended up buying my first commercial property. Now, that was a full-on everything, right? From managing tenants to understanding how to do and understand timelines, and also just understanding how to do rehabs. You know, now I would say that to say this, it has to go without being said. You have to understand. I learned so many different things through that project that I'm glad I went through it, but I'm also upset that I went through it, because if I'd have really did my homework, I would have understood the tools that was necessary to make sure it was successful. Successful overall, of making sure this project would have went a lot smoother. A few examples is simply understand that you need to have contractors, and understand that contractors need to understand what's called time is of the essence, right? Time is of the essence. That's a statement you guys are going to hear from me moving forward, and a lot of my other content when it comes to, you putting offers in and all sorts of things when it comes to real estate transactions. But that is a phrase I learned on my own prior to even getting into this industry, right? The other thing is understanding that when it comes to commercial properties, when it comes to properties in general, and they have tenants already attached to those properties, understand that you really, really need to do your homework. I tried my best to do my homework. I was actually able to find out about what was called there's a document called an estoppel. I ended up finding out about what an estoppel was, simply making sure that you're verifying what is being said between the landlord and the tenants, and making sure everyone's on the same page, and trying to find out, hey, was this tenant actually put in the property the right way? Was there application process? Do you have all of the information was needed? Was deposits collected? Like, I believe and thought I did everything possible. That was wrong. I'll leave you with this, because this is not what this one's about. I'm going to definitely do another deep dive in it. I have more content on this particular situation, but I would tell you, man, just to put in perspective, I put a lot of money down to get into this property. It was a commercial property, so it did come with a variable rate that changed every 3 years, I believe, every 3 to 4 years. Um, that was something difficult and very, very scary. A lot of risk when it came to that. But overall, I even did an inspection. I did everything I believe I could have did for that property. But I ended up finding within as soon as I closed that next particular day, like I said, I was quick on the rehab. The rehab happened. I closed maybe in the afternoon. By the next hour, and once I had the keys, because we had to wait for closing and funding and everything. So I think I had to wait the next day. I had boots on ground, had a contractor ready to go, and we were already starting to work, right? I'm financing this with the trucking company. I'm just doing a lot, right? But what ended up happening within that next day, I ended up finding there was an active gas leak in this property. An active gas leak. Oh my God. Um, the contractor went downstairs in the basement. Contractor said he smelled gas. I'm like, what the heck? We just bought it. We just had it inspected. All of these different things. Come to find out, all of the because this happened along. I got to tell you a story later on, but it ended up coming out that all of the tenants knew about the gas leak, and they were just dealing with it, and I get caught holding the bag with it. Didn't know my options, didn't know I could sue, didn't know anything, and once again, you don't know what you don't know, so you could probably kick me and say, "Why'd you buy a commercial property? You didn't know all this stuff." Man, I was just trying to figure it out. So that's hence why this podcast is called Keys and Knowledge. Like, I want you to get your keys. I want you to celebrate. I want you to have goals, but I also want you to have the knowledge that's added on to it. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an attorney. I'm not an accountant. I was just somebody trying to do something and, try to capitalize on what I believe was the right information. Now, as a realtor, I'm definitely understanding what needs to happen. I'm understanding a little bit more about contracts. I'm understanding that if there's something I don't know, we need to replace that with an individual that does know. So once again, that's the reason why the podcast, why I named my particular LLC Keys and Knowledge, because this is something I'm very, very passionate about. All right. So I just want you to understand that moving forward, and I want you to know that's what's important right now with these seminars. There's a lot of seminars going on right now, but a lot are on the web, right? I like to do mine in person if possible. I have no problem doing online seminars as well, but I don't think it's as impactful as being in person, where you can ask questions and be um, you can meet people one on one and be very discreet if you want to be after the seminar, of course. And I know everyone has their overall situation. Everybody has their own personal situation. So that's one of the reasons why I have the opportunity to do what I do. I like to do this stuff in person just for that particular reason, as well as learning more about the city, learning more overall about the different community pieces when it comes to educating people, right? And understanding how I can do that. So a brief overview of today's stream, right? We're going to talk about seminar info that you guys see on the screen. And then I'm also going to talk about my planning of PCSing and why this matters moving forward, right? So let's talk a little bit about this event that's coming up. As you guys can see, it's going to be on the 22nd of February of 2026. And the time, let me make sure I got the time, because I didn't put that. I'm going to start adding this daily because this is next week. So you'll see another flyer come out tomorrow. It's going to continue to come out. And I'm going to try to change that up so at least it's getting pushed out as much as it can. It's going to be from 12 to 3. 12 to 3. And this is going to be at the Downtown Public Library in El Paso, Texas, 3200 Cooper Avenue, El Paso, Texas, 79930. All right. Is this right? Yeah, let me see, make sure. You know what? That's not it, bro. Why do I got it saved as the wrong part? No. It's 501 North Oregon Street. I got it saved wrong on my phone. So that's correct on the flyer. 501 North Oregon Street is where it's going to be at. This is a beautiful, beautiful library. The Sutton, I believe it's the Sutton room. Beautiful. You guys are going to see it. It's a really nice room, nice little area so you can sit down, go through everything. It has a projector, so I'm gonna have a whole presentation going so you guys can see the whole thing and be comfortable in the moment, right? So that makes a big difference, right? So that's the date of it. I do it on Sundays simply downtown because it's free parking. So there's free parking down there, but sometimes it does get crazy. So if you can get there early, get there early. That way you can find parking, be good to go. Now, I try to secure a loan officer as well to answer questions and make sure that they add a little bit more value overall when it comes to this particular situation. Like I said, we need to talk about protecting your equity. And this is going to be the El Paso Property Tax Masterclass. Again, I'm not a tax attorney or a CPA, none of that. What I mean by this is simply making sure that you understand how property taxes are done in the city of El Paso, county of El Paso, and you also understand that there are exemptions that are available to you. And if you don't know about it, this is the opportunity to learn a little bit more about it, as well as everything else that comes in with your property taxes overall. So, yeah, man. So we're going to talk a little bit about property tax values, how they're calculated. We're going to talk about exemptions for homeowners. I'm also going to talk about the process of protesting your property taxes. This is big right here. Very, very big, even for my veterans, even my 100% veterans, because we have to understand that between the 100% veterans and the 65 and older individuals in El Paso, they make a huge, huge percentage of homeowners here in El Paso, Texas. So property taxes don't affect them as much, of course, but it's very, very important that everyone goes out and they protest their taxes. And I say that for a couple of reasons. Main reason simply is we need to understand that the Central Appraisal District is not doing individual one-on-one appraisals. They're doing a mass appraisal. They have a software that's allowing them to go ahead and do these particular appraisals, right? And there's no right or wrong answer, because you have to understand they don't have enough staff to go out and individually appraise each and every property. So at the end of the day, we could say this is a broken system. We could say whatever we may want to say, but in this situation, you just have to understand that, listen, You're not hurting the system. You're not breaking the system by challenging the property taxes. You're just making sure that everybody understands what is market value when it comes to your particular property. That is it. That is it. All right. I give you a great example. Just think about it. All right. Your property, for simplicity, is $100,000. The 3 homes next to you that just sold recently sold for like 90, 95,000, 89,000, but yours is being assessed at 100,000. Well, how is that? When the most recent sales in your area, it looks exactly like your house, same build, same size, same everything. Yours is a little bit more. Even that small difference, that 5 or 6,000, that's extra money you're paying out of pocket because your home's being assessed a little higher than your neighbors. You can call it what you want because I always tread lightly when I speak because people always have a reason on why they don't want to do something. Oh, well, you're snitching, or you're saying this, or you're saying something about your neighbors or the neighborhood. No, you're just literally trying to be a homeowner, man, a smart homeowner at the end of the day, man. You know, we want the city to be better, of course, because that's what the property taxes are supposed to go towards, of course, right? It goes to your schools, go to your roads, go to all your city buildings, all these different things, of course. We want to pay our fair share. Okay, like I have my whole tangent, or um, I'll have other videos on that moving forward. On my perspective of how the city's being ran. But right now, you have to understand that's what your money's going towards. And at the end of the day, it's just the same as when you get a tax refund at the end of the year. I know it's nice at the end of the year, but understand that you are overpaying on taxes, and that's the reason why you get a refund check, right? It's the exact same thing in this situation. If you don't make sure that your home is being assessed at the right value, you're just overpaying. It's simple as that. I don't know how else to tell you. I don't know what else to tell you, but that's just what it is. All right. So these aren't just technical topics. They can save people thousands or prevent surprises during the tax time. What I'm saying? So you have to understand that. All right. Again, like I said, I was trying to get Stephanie to come out. Hopefully I can get her in another seminar, but unfortunately I wasn't able to secure her for this one. Something family related came up, but that is okay. We're going to continue to move on. And just like I tell you guys, no matter what, you guys know I'm a football coach. If you don't know, I'm a youth football coach. And I tell my kids, I don't care if there's one person that shows up, 10 people that show up, or 100 people that show up. I will come with the same energy, and I will make sure that I am maximizing the time that I do have with you. So please, please, please come out, share this information, pass this information, let somebody know about this information, because I promise you, I'm going to leave you with this. I'm going to continue on. I mean, I still got more, but I want to leave you with this. If you don't believe this is a problem, the next time you're in a family outing, you with your friends or your family, and they own a home, ask, just ask, do you have your exemptions placed on your home? And if they say, I don't know, maybe, or I thought I do, that's a problem. That is a problem. That's a huge, huge problem. It's a red flag. And you just want to make sure that everyone around you is doing the right thing, right? Making sure they're being smart with their money, being smart with their home, and making sure that they're doing, they're just doing the right thing, man. That's all I can say. All right. Now, you guys see that I'm on there as well. I've already told you a little bit briefly about who I am and what I do. Like I said, I'm motivated to come out, talk about these different things, these different topics. I'm not the best at any of these particular topics that I'm pushing out with these seminars. I'm just educating myself. And as I educate myself and understand more and more about these topics, I want to make sure I'm passing this information out to other individuals. So if you have a lot of knowledge when it comes to property taxes, I challenge you, reach out to me. Let me know. I would love to attach you to these particular seminars so we can push this information out and make it known to each and every person. You may think this is not important, but it really is. You know what I'm saying? So that's the other thing. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about this seminar. Like I said, you guys can see it on the flyer. It says join this educational workshop designed to help El Paso homeowners understand exemptions, right? Property values and the protest process in clean, simple terms. I'm going to show you guys a little bit of my presentation that you guys are going to see if you attend this seminar this Sunday, right? You're also going to learn how the system works and what matters, what deadlines matter, right? These are important deadlines that you need to know, and every person that's a homeowner should know, right? And I'm bad at it as well, man. I'm not gonna lie. I'm bad at it as well, but I try to make it a point that I'm following these deadlines as best as I can, man. As best as I can. All right. And then you guys can see right here, you can register now. If you want to register, just go ahead and register now. That helps me, one, track who's coming, making sure I have the right um, you know, the right support when it comes to these seminars. Right now it's just me, but of course if there was 20, 30, 40 people coming, then that may mean I need to add a couple other realtors in there just for extra support, because I hate to have so many people waiting just to speak to me when I know there's other realtors in my network that can also help. So, but right now it's just me, and I just want to make sure I'm maximizing everybody's time, right? So you do have like a way to register, right? Also, if you want to email me directly, you got michael@keysandknowledge.com. Of course, you can go on my website as well. That'll connect you to all my social media platforms, all those great things, right? So that helps. Now, let's talk a little bit more. I don't want to go into PCS and stuff really soon. I got an outline built up, so if you guys see me going left and right, that's what I'm doing. But let me go ahead and upload and show you guys my presentation. So let's see if I can try and put this over here. And then I'm going to go ahead and open this up. And then let me go ahead and share the screen. So boom, take this off. And we're going to share the screen. All right, here we go. Boom. All right, so you guys can see it right here. So it's going to be, like I said, it's titled Protect Your Equity, the El Paso Property Tax Masterclass. There's another reason why I want to have this particular seminar. You guys know I go to the foreclosure auction first Tuesday of every month at the County Coliseum, right across the street from the local zoo, right? You definitely want to attend if you can, just to see and understand how much you need to learn and understand this information. And I say that simply because there's so many people right now going through foreclosures. Through the holiday, I promise you, there's no turning this faucet off, man. Even during the holiday, we had a high amount of people being foreclosed on. And we're still seeing people getting foreclosed on ridiculously, man. Like you guys got to understand that. So this is why it's so important to me, not only to make sure that we're letting local investors know that these opportunities are here, of course, but also if you are in this situation, there is help and there's resources out there that could help you. But if you treat the foreclosure process like an eviction and just ignore it, that's a problem, right? I'm also noticing, like, when I do my research, I'm trying to reach out to these financial institutions to figure out, hey, how can I help this situation? Or, hey, maybe I have an offer that kind of can get them out of foreclosure and they can just move on with their life. Understand that most of these financial institutions are not willing to budge. Like, you have to contact the owner before the bank will even do anything. But what's crazy about that, if you're already emotional and upset about it, of course that's going to be a very difficult conversation to have. And of course, just like I said at the very beginning, time is of the essence. So if you can't have the conversation, nothing can really happen. And so the banks understand that, and they're not really doing anything at the end of the day. I don't know how some of these financial institutions why they're not helping at the end of the day. But, I kind of got an idea, but, like I said, that's another video for another day. But anyway, let me show you guys exactly what I have. So I have about 20 slides. I'm not going to go in detail about each one, but you guys can see. So I'm going to have the content here. This is simply what we're going to talk about, why this matters. Of course, key dates to remember, how the property taxes work. We're going to talk about EPCAT, El Paso Central Appraisal District. We're going to understand homestead exemptions. We're going to highlight 3 particular exemptions: homestead exemptions, over 65 and disabled exemptions, and veteran exemptions. These 3 are like the main ones, but there are multiple. There are way more exemptions you could apply, depending on what you qualify for. So don't think this is it. And if you don't fit in these boxes, you don't get anything. Just understand that. Also, protesting your value, how to gather more comparables, informal versus formal hearings. This one is big, man, very, very big, because if you don't understand this process, I've dealt with this process twice myself. I'm going to deal with it again this year. I promise you. I want to get those glasses. You guys can those what are those called? The Ray-Bans with the glasses, the camera in it, so I can just go through the whole process and show it to you guys. But anyway, and then we also want to go over common mistakes and then how I help homeowners, right? So a lot of this stuff is to benefit you guys when it comes to just helping, right? Just pushing the information out. I don't get anything on the back end, but I let you know, hey, I can help in certain situations or I cannot. But understand from a realtor's perspective, none of this really benefits me. There's nothing I can really gain from this at all, when it comes to sales or anything like that. A lot of this stuff is just simply, once again, just trying to push out the knowledge. But to allow me to continue with this content, of course, all I'm asking for is referrals. So if you know anybody looking to buy or sell, of course, I would love if you could recommend me. That's all I'm asking. And that allows me to continue to do what I'm doing. Like I said, I want to early on. I'm not brand new, but I'm brand new at this. You understand? So understand that. Listen, I already know what I want to pivot. Like I just want to pivot on the education piece because I know that's missing. I know that part is missing. So that's what I really want to focus on. So we're gonna go a little bit about myself. I've already talked to you guys. Listen, I've done live-in flips. I've lived in one half of a duplex, rent out the other. I've done the whole YouTube university. Like that's me, man. That's my spiel. All right, this was going to be Stephanie Mendoza's slide. I had her ready to go, but once again, she has just some family things going on, so we will get to know Stephanie later on this year. Don't worry. Now, this is simply the first slide, right? Why this matters. Why does learning about property taxes matter? Because we don't want to ignore it, right? That's how you can lose your home. You could be paying everything on time. You could be paying your mortgage on time. But if you're not paying your property taxes, you will get foreclosed on, Not only that, you got to understand as well, if you're financing a home, this is a big part of your escrow as well. This can make or break if you can get in that home. So that's another piece of why you need to understand your property taxes and why this matters. If you're buying a new build, you definitely need to understand this because you need to know and you have to ask the question, has this property been assessed with just the land, or now that you built the home on it, has it been assessed since the home has been placed on the land? That's going to give you an accurate estimate of what your taxes are going to be. Now, for whatever reason, if it hasn't been assessed and it's only been assessed for the land, if there's other homes in the subdivision, then you can, of course, use those numbers. And that will most likely help you to make sure you're on point of estimating correctly what your overall property taxes will be. So just make sure you're following that, right? Now, these are key dates. These are key dates you need to remember. January 1st, your value is being determined. Well, January 1st just passed, right? Remember, can they do all this overnight? No. Software, my guy. Software. It's done. Easy. Think about how quick AI is. Think about how quick Google is. Software, right? I don't know how long it takes to compile that information. How long does it take to export information? I don't know. But January 1st, the value is determined. Now, April 30th, exemption deadline. Make sure your exemption's in. We're talking on this particular seminar, we're talking about the homestead exemption. If it's your primary residence, we're talking about 65 and older and disabled. And we're talking about veterans, disabled veterans. All right. Those exemptions need to be in by April 30th. Now, May 15th or 30 days after notice, this is your protest deadline. Make sure if you are deciding to protest your taxes, make sure you have your request in by the 15th or 30 days after your notice. Now, I have, even when I was going back and forth to the Central Appraisal District in person, you would see people even after, say, because May 15th is the latest, right? And then they end up giving you a court date or your date that you're going to come in person to protest your taxes, right? Even after that date, I promise you, people are still calling. People are still going in person, requesting a time to protest their taxes. I tell everybody, just because there's a policy doesn't mean there's no exceptions. Doesn't mean that you may or may not be able to do something. So pick up the phone. Don't think because you missed a deadline, you can't do something. Just pick up the phone and see if you could be helped. Because I promise you, dang, I just seen this, man. How does this double, man? I know for a fact I stayed up all night looking at the logos, man, on the bottom, but I'm gonna clean that up. But yes, just make sure that you're calling and just verify. Don't just take no for an answer. Challenge it. Make sure you're figuring that piece out and seeing if you can still get put, you know, you can still put your request in for that particular um, court date, basically, right? All right, so that's your protest deadline. Now, tax bills are mailed out October 1st and January 31st, your taxes become late. Look, I'm in that boat already. I'm just gonna be real with you. I'm in that boat already. I have a second property. I'm gonna get that done next month. I'm gonna get it done next month, man. I already took the L on it. It is what it is. I was supposed to have one of my homes in escrow, and I didn't put it in escrow, and I've been doing a really bad job keeping up with it. As well as like I got some properties out in South Bend, Indiana, some lots with my brother. And man, we've been doing a bad job at keeping up with those two, man. I ain't gonna lie. It's a lot to keep up with. But nonetheless, the city got to get their stuff done. They got to get their money, right? So we'll make sure we square them away. Now, how does property tax work, right? You see it here. I want to put the definition here, or I'm just going to say it. I don't know. But market value. Market value is what the market is willing to pay for your home. Think about it like I'm getting ready to sell my home. How much value will someone pay for it? Think about it like that. No more, no less. I know you love your home. I know your home is special to you, but what is the market willing to pay? What is that stranger that you don't know willing to pay for your home? Just think about it like that from that standpoint. Appraised value. Your appraised value is what the Central Appraisal District is saying your home is worth. It's it's crazy because it's kind of like still like market value, right? What the appraised value is supposed to do is make sure that they're looking at the last three homes, not even the last three homes, just within a mile radius of your home, the most recent sales. And they're going off of that to dictate what your home may be worth. That's the appraised value, right? So they're backing up the appraised value with data from other people's market value that's sold what the market says it was worth, right? So just remember it like that. So now your market value and your appraised value. Now you're gonna take that appraised value minus the exemptions because the market value is just telling you that piece. It kind of doesn't mean to be in there, but you need to know what market value means. So let's just look at appraised value minus your exemptions. Remember, for example, your appraised value in your home is 200,000. You have let's say, for example, you have a homestead exemption of 100,000. This is just, it's not true. just 100,000, right? So your homestead exemption is 100,000. That 100,000 is taking 100,000 off your $200,000 appraised home. So that is your taxable value. What's being taxed on is $100,000. Now you're going to take your taxable value times the tax rate. What is the tax rate? That's a great question. That's a great question. Understand that you have many, many entities when it comes to your tax rate. I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to show it to you so you guys can see. Let me pull something up right now so you guys can see. I probably should put that in here. That will make sense because, the city has different entities. Depending if you're in Socorro or you're in the county, you might have different entities. The school districts have different entities as well, different tax rates. So let me see. I can show you an example. I don't want to give you guys let me see. Let's Google an address. Let's go to Zillow, El Paso, Texas. Okay. Let's do this one. Okay. I'm going to do this one here. That way I can show it to you guys. Boom. 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 I want to show you guys really quick. I don't think my daughter just woke up. Let me see here. All right. I'm not going to be able to do it. It's going to be too much. It's going to take me too long. This website's new, but okay. Anyway, just think about the tax rate like this. Your entities that may be composed of your property tax bill. You may have a line item just for your ISD, your school district, your city tax. The city has their own tax rate. EPCC has their own tax rate. If you have a mud or a pit, if you have like an emergency district, that's its own tax rate. And they're multiplying whatever the tax rate is by your taxable value, each line item. And then you add up the total amount of entities. Once you do that math, that's going to tell you your total amount for the year. But I'm going to add that to it so you guys can see it. All right, that's going to make your entire your property tax bill. Now, let's go. Now, what is EPCAT and what does it do? Remember, EPCAT is El Paso Central Appraisal District, but they are based out of Dallas, Texas. I believe it's Dallas, Texas. So just because it says EPCAT doesn't mean anything, man. Understand this. EPCAT works for those entities. That's it. That's who's paying EPCAT. We're not paying EPCAT. The entities are paying EPCAT. Cities paying them. School districts paying them. All of them are paying them. We're not paying them. They're just supposed to go out and appraise homes for those taxable entities. That's it. All right. So when you see EPCAT, what do? They determine the value. They process exemptions. They handle protests. That is it. EPCAT does not set the tax rates. They do not set the tax rates. Who set the tax rates? The city, EPCC, school districts, all of them. They set their own tax rates. So when you don't go to those meetings and they're talking about increasing something, understand that they're doing it. I've been to many meetings. My last one I went to, I believe, was Socorro Independent School District. It was EPISD School District. They had one. And I went and they tried to game us on some nonsense where I'm not even going to go into it. But yeah, I go to all those meetings, man. I try to go to the meetings I can and I challenge them. And I understand that we need more money for this and that and that. But these schools it's just frustrating me because listen, I tell you guys, I'm 36 years old. I don't have an elementary school. I don't have a middle school. No, I have a middle school. It's been renamed. And I don't have a high school. They have been closed down. Why have they been closed down? Because the city cannot afford to keep them open. I could be mad all day about it, but it is what it is. Same thing out here in El Paso. I get it. Everybody here loves their school. They can brag about their school. They can say, hey, what school did you go to? I get it. But we can't afford to do it anymore. If you don't believe me, talk to the leadership because they're saying there's a birth rate issue out here, which is crazy to me, right? Um, that's a problem. But you want me to pay more money for empty schools. We need to consolidate these schools. We have no choice because if not, then we're just going to continue to be paying for empty schools. I'm not willing to throw my money away. I'm sorry. I'm just not. I'm just being real. But if you feel like you got money in the bank to go ahead and pay for that, then go ahead. But if you see me at a meeting, I will be opposed all the time. I am, man. I love the schools out here. There's some great things being done out here. But there's also being some negligent individuals out here as well. As smart as these people are supposed to be, if you are not generating income, then what are we supposed to do? You keep asking for handouts. And I don't want to be on my soapbox. I'm telling you guys what it is, right? So the EPCAT does not set your tax rate. They do not collect the taxes. They do not spend tax money. That should tell you all you need to know. Now, homestead exemptions. All right, we're talking about just on homestead. If you want to say you bought a home, if you fall under these particular guidelines, which the main one is it must be your primary residence, you can file your homestead exemption. I don't know what this discount is for your homestead exemption. I think I don't know what it is. Don't give me the line. Don't give me the line. But it must be your primary residence. This lowers your taxable value. Remember what taxable value is. It's that homestead exemption discount off your market value of your home or your appraised value of your home, or assessed value of your home, if you want to say it like that. Also, you have caps, which increase at 10% a year. So they could slowly go up on that particular property tax, of course, but that's as high as some of these things get capped, right? And then your deadline is April 30th, right? So that's that. Now we're gonna go over 65 and disabled. Now this one is big. So if your abuela, your grandma, your grandfather, this is big, right? Because they get a little bit more, and it's nice because it is a most 65 and older in this community is living on a fixed income. I'm just being real and honest. So this is great that they're setting a standard in helping, our most vulnerable. All right. And the individuals who work their entire life, they do deserve a break, right? They should. We work, we're younger, let us work. They're 65 and older, they've done their part. That's how I see it. All right. So you must be 65 years or older. You must own and live in a home as a primary residence, and you can only apply to one residence homestead, right? So you can have a homestead exemption and a 65 and older, right? Now, you must qualify for the disability benefits, okay? So you see that. You must own and occupy a home as a primary residence. You cannot receive both over 65 disabled exemption at the same time, all right? So you can't stack them. Right, they're saying 65 and disabled exemption. So there's multiple exemptions, but you can't stack them. Now, this is where this helps. And remember what I mean by tax entities. All right, remember that. You still got all these, you could have 4 or 5 entities, different groups that are charging you your overall tax bill. This is just one entity. So combined with standard homestead exemption. Standard homestead exemption, okay, here we go. It's $140,000 for the school portion. And this just got voted on last year. It's $140,000. Now, if you're over 65 you get an additional $60,000. So go back to my example. Your home is $200,000. That's how much your home is being assessed for when it's being taxed, right? That's your um, that is your taxable value of your home, 200,000. Now you have a homestead exemption attached to that home. That's 140. That means you got 60,000 of taxable. But because you're over 65, you get 60. That's a grand total of 200,000, kind of washing that. So that entity, that school portion, that ISD, you're not paying if you're 65 and older if your home is worth 200,000. Now, if your home is worth 300, 400, then you still have that difference. That's still taxable income, taxable amount that could be assessed, right? That's what that is. So just understand that piece, man. But if you have a modest home, it's at 200,000, you're good to go on that portion. Doesn't mean you're still not paying property tax. You still got EPCC, you still got fire and police, depending on where you're located. If you have a mud or pig, you're still paying on that stuff. But you're just getting a break on the school portion. All right. Now, let's go to veteran exemptions. This is for my Fort Bliss soldiers. This is for veterans that are out of the military. Disabled veterans. I won't even say actively. You gotta be out. So this is a difference as well too, because most people think because you're not 100%, you don't get any break. This is on the Central Appraisal District website. It is through a rating structure. As you guys can see, 10% through 29%, you get $5,000 off your property value. So again, let's go back to that example of your home's 100,000. It's going to be worth 95,000 when it's being assessed at that tax rate. And you can see the rest of it, right? 70 to 100%, 70 to 100%, 12,000. But if you are 100% disabled, there's no property taxes. That's a benefit that you've earned. That's a benefit that you have, and you could utilize. But if you don't fall in that category, but you fall in any of these categories, make sure you have everything in place. All right. And if you don't know how to get this done, just call the Central Appraisal District or walk down or drive to the Central Appraisal District and get the proper form, turn everything in, and start getting that break on your overall tax bill. Now, we're going to go right into protesting your value. So now we understand our tax bill, right? We understand the hard deadlines. We understand a couple of exemptions. Now, what do we do when we say, man, we're still paying too much and I don't understand why? Because my home is not worth that amount. All right. So you want your market value protest. My home is not worth that much. Unequal appraisal protest. My home is valued higher than similar homes. This is big, man. A lot of people say this. This is big, though. Okay. Understand what you're not saying is my home is horrible and it's not worth X, Y, and Z. You're not saying that your home is worth $2. You're not saying that, hey, they say my home worth 400,000. It's really worth, I don't know, it's really worth 300,000. You're not, I don't know how to say it, man, because people get offended easily. But you're basically trying to make sure that you're paying your fair share. That's it. You don't want to overpay. And I give you a great example with this, because if you do not, and I'll repeat, if you do not protest your value of your home, you could be paying way more than your neighbors. You could be paying way more than your neighbors. I was told, and this is just me, I'm talking about me as an individual. When I challenged my property tax, I missed 1 year of protesting my property taxes. And I'm paying way more than I should be paying. My home's assessed a lot higher than my neighbors, but because I missed 1 year. Now I'm going to give you the game. If you don't hear anything I'm telling you right now, here it is. So what is it called? Let me go back. So I did an informal hearing. Informal hearings where you sit down with an appraiser. It's supposed to be an appraiser, right? Now, this is before I knew anything. Once again, keys and knowledge. I didn't have the knowledge. I was going with arguing emotion and saying, hey, the schools aren't right over there in that neighborhood. The neighborhood looks like it's not being taken care of. There's weeds everywhere. They don't care about none of that. They don't care about none of that. But what they do care about, what they will hear is whether you had to do some sort of repairs to the home and you kept the receipts, or you could show them homes that have sold in the area, similar size, similar square footage, similar everything to your home at a lesser price. That is it. If you could show them any of those two in those two categories, that will help defend your position. If you go there arguing on emotion and saying, I just don't get it and I'm just not, it's too much, you're done. You're cooked. That's what these kids say. These are what these kids say. You're cooked. That's it. I'm telling you, it's just not going to work. But this is what I meant to say. So I was arguing emotion, and what I was told was, well, your neighbor's home is valued less because you don't know why it's valued less. They could have turned in repairs, and they could have argued X, Y, and Z. But I ended up finding out, and what I've done a lot in this city and other cities, is you can have what's called open records requests. And you are privy to this information. So if your neighbor has less, if your neighbor won their protest and now their market value is less than yours, and you don't know why, you can request the documents that they use to support why their home is less. So all I was told by this appraiser was, you don't know those homes. Those homes probably had some repairs done. Why did I do an open records request? I ended up finding out they just turned in CMAs. So what I'm going to do this year, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to do an open records request beforehand, knowing the facts about the home. So when they hit me with that, I can say, nah, they didn't do that. They turned this in. That's what they did. So that's really going to argue. That's going to truly argue my position. So that's me putting you on game, man. You can do that at the Central Appraisal District. They have their own open records request. I wouldn't say department, but they have their own records request process. The city has their own open records request process. And I was going to go through the city, but somehow I ended up finding Central Appraisal District had it, and I ended up putting the request in through them. So, yeah, man, I'm telling you, that's big right there. That's huge. If you didn't learn nothing else from me of value, that was value. All right. I get super passionate about certain things like this. If you ain't know, we are an hour in. We're not even halfway through this slideshow. So I'm going to try to move a little quicker. All right. So how to gather comparables. The easiest way you can do it is you're going to look for homes that are the same size as yours in the neighborhood, similar size, year built, in recent sales. That is big. That is what realtors do when it comes to trying to find out if they're going to list your house, how much your home is worth. This is exactly what they do. Now, what you want to avoid is listings. Listings are not, those are like homes that are for sale. Just because a home is for sale at a certain price doesn't mean they're going to get it. So we can't use that information. Different areas. Avoid using different areas. Try to stay within a half mile or mile. 2 miles if you can't find something similar. 3 miles, like go mile by mile so you can find something similar to your home. But everybody in El Paso understands my neighborhood looks different than across the street. My neighborhood looks different than across the highway. Please understand that. Don't think that your home is worth the same as another home. Like my home is within a half a mile across the street from another state subdivision. Those homes are priced 200 grand more than my home, but they're close and they're same size, same everything, same year, but those are totally different homes. Understand that piece. Please, please, please. Now, I already talked about it. Avoid emotional arguments because you're not going to win with emotional arguments, period. I'm learning that. I'm learning because I get very emotional. So I just make sure I have stuff to back it up. So make sure you have the data to back it up. If you're good with AI, this is a great way to make sure you're forming the right argument. Gather the comparables, stick it through Chat GPT or some sort of AI, print you out a legit argument. That's what you should do. Read it if you have to. Stick to it if you have to. But don't go with emotion because you're going to get an argument and you're going to get emotional and you're going to get kicked out the room. I promise you. So just woosah, woosah. Everything will handle itself. All right. So now we're talking about informal versus formal hearings. There's two portions. Not even two portions. There's two opportunities to challenge your property taxes and your assessed value, to be specific, how much your home is that the city believes is worth. Not even the city, the Central Appraisal District believes it's worth. Remember, Central Appraisal District did not go out and look at your home. Now they will do case by case. If you challenge it enough, they're going to go out eventually at some point. If they ever do. But for the most part, they're using software and they're doing a mass appraisal process. All right. There's nothing wrong with that, but it is something wrong with it when they're not doing it in accordance to what we just looked at, right? Same neighborhood, similar size, similar year built, but particularly the same neighborhood. Most of these appraisals are done 5 miles out, 10 miles out, 15 miles out. We just talked about homes being different just across the street, just across the highway, 1 mile from you, 2 miles from you. How are you assessing my home with something that's 15 miles away, 10 miles away, 5 miles away? You should lose just off of that. All right. So you have the informal process. Once again, you meet with the appraiser and then you try to resolve it. That's the portion that you just want to be on point. Don't argue with emotion. Understand what you're doing and just talk clearly. They're going to try to talk friendly to you, remember, but it's just like talking to the police. Be careful with your words and make sure what you say you understand and you have it written in a certain way. Please. All right. Now, you're going to try to resolve it. If it doesn't resolve for whatever reason, I never resolve it at this level. I always have to go to the formal part. Now, one thing I did miss on this is there's evidence. Your evidence cannot be on your phone. You have to submit this evidence to Central Appraisal District. And that information is in your packet when you decide that you're going to go ahead and go through these hearings. It's in that fine print. You got to look for it. Either you can email it, you can scan it, you can get a CD and send it to them, but you have to give it to them so they can pull it up. Or you need to bring in 2 copies and give them a copy, whatever. But understand the evidence has to be submitted and you cannot use your phone. That is important. That is important. That is important. All right. So now we're going to go to formal ARB. The formal one is a panel of like 3, 4, 5. I don't know if they're realtors or how that committee of people is broken up. I don't know. All right, but that's besides the point. Just know that there are like 3 of these appraiser guys, 5 of these appraiser people. So just make sure that once again, you're arguing with facts and statistics and information, the right information. All right. I've done this process multiple times. You can either have Central Appraisal District individual go first because it's one person, or you can go first with your argument. It's saying like court, you get an opening argument, they get an opening argument, you get to do your statement of why you feel and defend your position, they get to defend theirs. You get to cross-examine each other and ask questions. I always ask the same question. It gets them every now and then, but It doesn't go nowhere. I asked them, how did you come up with this? Did you come out to my home and appraise my home? They said, no, we can't possibly do that. But I ask them every year anyway. Um, but so you get the cross examine, and then from there you get your closing arguments. So same kind of format, right? Just make sure you're trying to control yourself, because I promise it gets crazy. And then also, it's it's not a lot of time. You get like maybe 5 minutes or 3 minutes for your open argument. You get another 4 minutes or 5 minutes to defend your position, and then you get so much time. Too many questions go back. It's I'm telling you, it's very quick, bro. So if you don't understand what you're talking about, or you need help, I would say consult a lawyer. I would say consult a lawyer regardless, and have them defend your position. But if you don't have the money, like a lot of us, I don't have the money. I'm just going to defend my position the best I can. But if you have the money, do it. Do it, do it, do it. All right. Um, However, nonetheless, I go through that process, and it's very, very frustrating because everything happens so quick. So just be prepared. Maybe go over your argument the day prior, just so you know how you're going to say it, when you're going to say, and you got it right. Now, common mistakes. These are common mistakes. Not filing your homestead. There are many individuals in El Paso who believe they're paying way too much in property taxes, and they are, but they don't have their homestead exemption. They have no exemption, and it's their primary residence. What the kids say, you're cooked. You're cooked because you don't even have the exemption on it. That is for you. That was created for you to give you a break on your taxes. But if you don't use it, you're not going to get it. All right. Um, like I tell you guys, I do the property tax. I do the no. I do the foreclosures, and part of that is me identifying the properties, researching the properties, and I end up finding out there is no exemption on this property. If you already can't barely make it, or you're on a fixed income, you don't have this discount on it. I mean, you're doing yourself a disservice. All right. The next thing, missing deadlines. I just went to the very, very beginning and showed you guys all the deadlines you've got to be hitting, or you're going to have issues. We've already talked about this, arguing emotions. You cannot argue with emotions. They will not hear it. It's kind of like if you were arguing to Judge Judy. She don't care. Show her facts. Show her statistics. Show her your evidence. That's what you have to do in this situation. Now, the last part, confusing the tax rate with value. Remember, tax rate is created by the entities, not by a central appraisal district. So the city has a tax rate. The county has a tax rate. The schools have a tax rate. The college has a tax rate. You might have a municipal utility district tax rate. And understand, these are all individuals. And all last year, they were all talking about raising. Majority of these entities raised their rates. I think the only one that didn't raise their rate was EPCC. That was it. Majority of them all raised it. So it's important that we go to these meetings, man, because I promise you, these, I don't want to say they're not committees, they're boards. These boards, everybody can justify why they need to raise these tax rates. All of them. They do a damn good job at it too. But you have to be there to argue. You have to be there to defend and say, hey, listen, some of these businesses, these big businesses that are coming here, they need to take some of this brunt. Stop giving all this to the taxpayer to pay. All right. Now, how I help homeowners. You heard all of this. This was all for you. But how do I help? How can I help you? Well, I can do a couple things for you. I can do what's called a complimentary CMA, comparable market analysis. Any realtor can do this for you. Some charge for them, some may not do it, but it's a service that I do offer. Remember, every realtor they're their own independent entity. They're their own business. They're their own individuals, so I can't say everybody does them. It's just if they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. But I'm telling you, I do. So when I told you have to collect the recent sales value and you have to go through all this stuff, understand as being a realtor, I have certain data, I have certain information that helps me make sure that that's as accurate as possible. And it holds a little bit of weight when you take it to these, whether you go to the informal hearing or the formal hearing. It gives it a little bit of weight that a realtor gave you uh, an actual CMA. Additionally, I can help you with the, just reminding you, I could put you on my, I could put you on my system, CRM, and just remind you, hey, this deadline's coming up if you need help understanding or remember. I'll also let you know a little bit more about the market versus your appraisal process comparison. I'll do that for you as well. So if you need any of that, if you need help with any of that, I'm here. You know what I'm saying? I can't do 100 of them, but as they come in, I can definitely help and get that out to you. That's no problem at all. Now, full disclaimer. This is I'm going to say it though, but this is full disclaimer. Like this presentation is education purposes only. All right, educational purposes only. I got to say that. I am not providing legal or tax advice. I'm not affiliated with El Paso Central Appraisal District. All right. And always verify details directly with the appraisal district or a licensed professional. No guarantees of tax savings is being made. I'm not doing any of that. I'm just educating you guys. Remember, the name of my company is the Keys and Knowledge Team. I want to give you keys, but I also want to add that knowledge so you are a little bit better and you're a little bit better in the community and you're helping other individuals. That's my goal. That is my goal simply. All right. Got any questions? Please reach out to me. This is my last page here. Just scan it. It'll give you feedback. Will give me feedback, of course. But this is all my social media handles. I also have a Facebook group. Get plugged into my group. All that great stuff. All right, and these are my resources. So epcad.org. The second one is to grants. But the first one is where I got all my information from is epcad.org. And I'm going to go do another deep dive. I've done a video on it, but I'll do another deep dive. There's a lot of resources when it comes to that website. That'll help you understand this at a higher level, man. I promise you. So let me know what you think. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please reach out. Please reach out. Now, the last thing I want to talk about before I go, because we've been on this thing for about an hour already, simply is about, what are we going to talk about? Okay. So it's simply going to be about my content moving forward. Like I said, you guys know I'm a veteran, so I want to help Fort Bliss soldiers. I want to help veterans. I want to help active duty service members transition to Fort Bliss. Not only if they want to buy or sell, but also if you just need a resource overall to understand the city, the layout, the base, the times. Just understand there's a lot more to do than what's just on base. I know I was on base myself. I was in those barracks for a little bit. I was in, I had my own place, all of that stuff. I've done it, but I did not maximize my time while I was at Fort Bliss in El Paso. It wasn't until I got out that I understood what all El Paso had to offer. So that's what I want to make sure I'm doing for other service members that are coming here, who have families, who are single. Understand, for most of you guys that are civilians, you might say, well, why that's important? I get it. You want to buy and sell. But like I said, it's not just about buying and selling. It's to help integrate you here. Understand the suicide rate in the military is super high. I've lost some soldiers while I was at Fort Bliss. And they, for all sorts of reasons, man, like go to a 21 gun salute. And that's the most depressing thing you could ever go to, and one of the big things is a lot of soldiers, they get homesick very, very quickly. It's like, think about going to college or just leaving your hometown and going to a brand new city and you're ripped from your family. Not even ripped, you're leaving, but you really wasn't ready. Now you're forced to just really go through this. A lot of people can't take that transition well. So this helps. One thing the military does, they have this program called BOSS. I really like that program. It's for the single soldiers, better opportunities for single soldiers. Really great program. You have the USO. Uh, you got some other programs that kind of help with this, but I want to be an added resource as well. So if you're reaching out or you see me on social media, you can reach out and say, "Hey, Mike, what's going on? What's going on with the city?" I promise you go to my website. You're gonna have. I'm gonna hit you with some websites. It's gonna help you find something to do. It's gonna help you be integrated into El Paso and find out what's going on. And I just want to keep adding things just to make that website better and better and better. All right. So you have family, your kids are in sports, you want to go shopping, whatever. I got all that information. You want to know what events are going on in El Paso, concerts are going on in El Paso. I want to be a one-stop hub to kind of help with that transition. So a lot of my content moving forward is going to be a lot about Fort Bliss, but I still love El Paso. So if you definitely still want to work with me, I'm still here. I haven't gone nowhere. I'm still here. All right. Um, if this content meant anything to you, please share, share, share. Please let people know, even if you don't share my content, ask this question to your friends, family, and foes. Do you have your homestead exemption? Yes or no? Quickly. You got 10 seconds. Let me hear it. If they tell you no or they hesitate, have the conversation with them, man. People are losing their homes monthly at this point. All right. For whatever reason, everything is going up. But as you guys know, wages aren't going up. So I just definitely want to educate people on that, man. Financial literacy needs to be top of mind this year. It's early. You still got, even if you failed on your new year, new me already, you still got time to get back on that thing. If your goals are to buy or sell, hit me up. If you just want to know about what's going on in El Paso, please hit me up. And if I don't, of course, I don't know everything. 36 years old, so don't ask me about no clubs. Don't ask me about no what's going on with that the scene out here. But I guarantee I know somebody who I can plug you into. So that's one thing about me. I may not have the answer, but I'll find the person or the individual to help connect you. And that's what I want to give. So I really appreciate everybody coming on. Appreciate the viewership. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, reach out to me. You guys see my phone number at the bottom, 915-487-6602. The QR code goes to my website, all my social media links. That website is constantly being updated, and I'm trying to refine it and make it better and better and better. So that's another great thing. Um, yeah, man, I'm just excited about this year. I'm excited about all the great things that are happening. And I think I want to leave you with this, man. Get involved. Get involved with the city. There's so many smart individuals out here. There's so many smart individuals. El Paso has a lot of smart people, but we just don't have a lot of time. And I get it. But I promise you, nobody is defending these tax rates. Nobody is out there defending particular demographic of people. Like, everybody got to get out and everybody got to make it a point to put pressure on the people we elect. I really do believe we have great leadership. I just think they don't know what they don't know. And they don't know what bothers you or affects you on a daily basis. When I go up to that podium, when I go to the city, I am nervous. When I go up to talk about something or get on the phone, I am nervous, you know, but I go anyway. I go anyway. I don't know what it's about. I just go. But if you want me to continue doing that, please connect me with anybody that is looking to buy or sell. That helps me continue to do what I do, because now I'm not what realtors do. They spend a lot of money on marketing. I don't want to spend my money on marketing. I want to spend my money and my time with the people. I want to go out and I want to go to, um, different districts, and I want to go to city council meetings, and I want to go to the county judge meeting, court, commissioner court. I want to go to these things and make sure that things are being done right. And so by referring me, or letting me know who's looking to buy or sell, that helps me still do my job, but it also gives me the time to go out now and invest time moving forward. So that brings me to my last point. My goal this year is to host a plethora of events. I want to host one event every quarter. I want to do a mini event in between it. So a total of 8 particular events total. But these are going to be free events, and they're not going to have anything to do with real estate. I don't want to do anything with real estate. I'm going to have sponsors there, of course, to help with these events. But overall, it's just to give back. I want to give back. I want to connect people to all these different resources and let them understand what's going on. So if that's something you want to get behind and you want to help me out with that, please let me know. I'm not taking any money, but if you have opportunities where hey, I can host an event here, or this might be a great idea. Hey, I know a lot of people who are into this particular subject. Look into this. I'm very much interested in feedback. Please DM me, comment, call me, text me. That would be great, because that's what we're working on. We have one event that I'm already working with another agent already. That's gonna be getting pushed out here soon. You guys already see a seminar, and then yeah, man. So that's what it is. But I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate everyone stopping by. If you're gonna watch this when it's recorded and watch this in the morning, I appreciate y'all. I'm supposed to have an open house tomorrow, but it's not gonna happen. It's not on my part, but I'm gonna find me another house to do an open house at right now. But anyway, I want to get on. I wanted to give this information to the people. Again, I'm gonna have this seminar on Sunday. What I say, from 12 to 3. From 12 to 3, come out downtown library. Parking is free. It's a beautiful, beautiful location. I'm working on doing a giveaway, so that's another great thing. Got to figure out what I want to give away yet. But I want to do a giveaway to kind of drive people in. So be on the lookout for that as well. I'm going to push out flyers on a daily as we get closer. Please RSVP or send it to somebody who may benefit from this knowledge, even if they already have their exemption on, but they don't know why they have it on, or maybe they know some people who should have it on. You need to invite them to this, right? So I appreciate it again, man. Thank you so much for coming on. Until next time. Peace.